Meeting to order. Welcome everybody this morning. Get a coffee or snack. Right now, we'd like to do the land acknowledgement, please.
The Fundy Regional Service Commission would like to acknowledge, honor, and pay respect to the land on which we gather and operate today. The FRSC operates on traditional unceded territory of the Willistic and Passamaquoddy. This territory is covered by the Treaties of Peace and Friendship, which the Willistic, Micmac, Passamaquoddy peoples first signed with the British Crown in 1726. The treaties did not deal with the surrender of lands and resources, but recognized the title and established rule for what was going to be an ongoing relationship between nations. The FRSC is committed to creating a new standard by developing meaningful nation-to-nation partnerships that strengthen and honor all of its relations.
For that. Okay, at this time we take a record of attendance, please.
Got it?
Thank you. Approval of the agenda as presented.
So approved.
Moved by Jim,
Second.
second by Nancy. Question on this motion? All in favor? Contrary minded? Carried. Thank you. Approval of the minutes, please. Moved by Libby. Second by
John.
Second by John. All in favor? Contrary minded?
Mr. Chair, I have a question on the item.
Sorry about that.
That's okay. The minutes of the special meeting, December 23rd, on item 3, consultant costs, the Canada Games Aquatic Center Enhancement Project. It says basically that Director Merrifield objects to the item and the length of the meeting. That doesn't quite represent what I had said. I didn't object to the item. I objected to the item being added onto what was supposed to be a short meeting. And an item of that depth and importance when I wasn't able to stay as long as I needed to stay. So that kind of misrepresents exactly what was said at that meeting. So I would like that amended, please.
Absolutely.
Okay. Noted. Thank you. All in favor? Contrary minded? Carried. All right. If at any time through this meeting, anyone has a conflict of interest, please remove yourself while that item has been dealt with. We'll bring you back in. CEO verbal update, Phil.
Great. Thank you, Chair. We are very happy to be here today. I have a handful of quick items for you. First, and perhaps you can let me know, Cassie, if Laura is in the room.
Yes.
All right. We have our new Senior Director of Finance here, Laura Bennett, and she comes with great experience, great exposure to public sector accounting in her past. And she's just started. Her first day was actually unable to come in because of the storm on Monday. But we did the best we could to start her off on orientation. And of course, I'm out this week, but this is a very critical role to uphold the oversight of the FRSC and its expectations. We're so thrilled to have her as part of the team. I understand the orientation is going very well so far. You will all have a chance to work with her. We do, as you know, Mark Porter is expected to retire around April, and it would be Laura who takes on the role. For those involved in the Regional Facilities Committee, Laura would also play a larger role in supporting that portfolio as well, with all the fun financial discussions that we end up having through that committee. So Laura, thank you for agreeing to join our team, and it's nice to have you with us.
Welcome. Great, Phil.
I did want to share some other news. I share this because it's really important part of our business. We talk a lot about projects, but we run operations at landfill. We run operations through our planning service, and there's an exceptional scenario that happened over the last month in that One of our customers at the landfill was seen to be having a medical emergency while driving at the landfill. And due to the quick response of our team on the ground, they were able to identify it with the help of other customers and access the person in need, connect with the emergency response, and we understand that the individual got the treatment and the support that they needed right away. But it does remind you of the passion and quick reaction of our workforce. And I wanted to thank especially Chris, our operations supervisor, who was on the scene and supported this. A great, fantastic reaction and support. It's a great news story. Also, in terms of news stories, some of you may have heard our own Brenda McCallum on the CBC. She's been around the region along with Aaron to support the homelessness response toolkit. This is beginning to get a little bit of traction through the media. We are getting contacted from other RSCs across the province to share and give them input, and they would like to adapt it. I did want to just take the opportunity to thank the team for putting this together and the committee that, of course, supports the community development mandate and for the tremendous work of Aaron and Brenda in putting this together. A couple other quick updates. There is a food symposium that we're organizing. This was part of the 2026 work plan. It will be happening on the 26th. If that February, that date sounds familiar, yes, it is a board meeting date. So the morning part, we will be in meetings, but the rest, the board is certainly welcome to join later on in the evening parts. You'll receive more information as the continued planning and outreach of this goes on. This will bring together food banks and organizations that are supporting food security across the region. And ultimately, we're bringing in speakers from the Maritimes to showcase innovative approaches. And the session is really targeted towards finding solutions in these workshops for participants in order to drive improvement across the region in your own communities, and how the different folks involved in food security can work together more effectively to bring greater outcomes. I did also want to mention, and I've heard this a couple different occasions, that about information originating from Department of Health and Horizon Health in terms of decisions and approaches, and the network of CEOs of regional service commissions are meeting with the CEO of Horizon Health in the near future. And one of the things that we're going to be advocating for is just more regular information being provided to regions on what's happening in the health field. What are the decisions? What are the shifts that are to come? What are the decisions? How they're making the decisions? When the decisions will be rolled out? And then equipping ourselves with that information so that we can transfer it out. We don't want to do that work. We want Horizon to do that work, and we want to make sure that local governments have access to that information so that they can prepare for planning and they can support it. So just thought I'd let you know that we're kind of on the case on this. We do understand that this works quite well for Vitalité. They do this quite often, so we understand that, and I will be looking forward to bringing back some updates to this body on the outcome of that interaction. I also want to mention that we have received questions in the past about consultants and how we're proceeding with consultants. And I thought it would be worthwhile sharing that we do have an RFP out that's been submitted to various consulting companies for our regional public transportation plan and the next phase of that in 2026. So those have been submitted. And we do believe we'll be getting 3 proposals in, and that will be coming in early next week, and we hope to make a decision soon after through an internal review, and that would be supporting it. This contract is not expected to go over the threshold of procurement through provincial legislation. Also wanted to mention that this is in the consent agenda, but just to maybe a little heads up is that we are looking to complete an origin destination survey, which we launched in February. And this will really be seeking residents' input on travel patterns across the region, within the region, from community to community. We will be obviously promoting it through our social channels. And this will also be an opportunity for each of the communities to share it directly with their networks and their socials to encourage this. This data will be absolutely critical in our ability to determine what needs residents are looking for as it relates to transportation solutions in the region, which will help us in designing what does a network look like, an improved network, and where does it come from. So certainly we have Scott at the meeting today as well. So if there's any questions on this, we'd be happy to respond to them. We are launching the rural plan community survey. It happened earlier this week. I believe it's already been kicked off. This will kind of kick off this last phase of before approval of an eventual rural plan for the Fundy Rural District. We've received a lot of great responses so far. I did want to put the caveat out there, and I think I've warned everybody, there are some communities that are considered local service or former local service districts, so they have similar names as your communities, and it might confuse some of your residents. So we want to make sure you're aware that it could happen, and if it does, you get questions on this, please indicate that it has nothing to do with your community, it's with the rural district and the rural district residents. So we're there. Lastly, I want to let you know about the rail working group and this letter that was submitted was approved by the board in December to submit to the minister and then to kind of work in partnership with the Union of Municipalities. I understand this has already gone through the initial channels within the UNMB through a committee, and it is expected to go to the board in early February for discussion, and it looks very positive. I do believe that the vision would be that there will be a letter sent from UNMB potentially in the near future, and the FRSC will be submitting a letter as well. So this is a great example of some work done at a regional level for something that's needed, and then elevating that up provincially and just expanding the voice of a matter that impacts more than just folks in our communities. So I'm really happy with that partnership with UNMB. With that, that is the CEO verbal update for today.
Thank you for that, Phil. Any comments or questions to Phil on that from the board? Not, we'll move forward to the consent items. 4.1, Planning and Building Inspection Monthly Report. 4.2, Fundy Track Survey, Fundy Regional Service Commission Board Endorsement Letter. Somebody want a motion to? John. Oh, sorry, John. Go ahead.
No, just going to move the consent agenda.
All right, thanks. Okay, thanks. So on with it. Moved by John, second by Jim. All in favor? Contrary minded? Carried. Thank you. Okay, reports and presentations. CGA Enhancement Project. 5.1. That is Phil. Yeah. You're up again, Phil.
Great. Cassie, could you tell me if is Jeff and Samir in the room?
Yep.
Yeah, they,
Yes.
yeah.
Okay, good. So I can speak honestly about them, and they're there. Good. I did just want to kind of identify some folks in the room that some will be presented, but we sort of have the project team that's supporting this generational reinvestment into the aquatic center here. A tremendous amount of work has gone into this, due diligence, thoughtful discussion. We're at obviously a milestone today with the board, but I'd be remiss not to thank everybody for the support. For the city, Jeff is the project lead. within the city that was hired. This is the supported by the funds that are provided by FRSC to the city to help with engineering support throughout this. Jeff has been like a massive support to this. Samir, ongoing support, Ian and the rest of the team. One of the things that is really important to note about the City of St. John's support towards this is that it's a wraparound service. It's not just engineering service. They have procurement experts that specialists that support it. They've brought in legal, they've brought in finance, they've brought in government relations and communications. It is truly a wraparound service that they're providing in support of this project to make sure that all the I's are dotted and the T's are crossed. And then we also have our consultants here who you will hear from and the great work that they've done. Before I pass it on to Graham, who's been really the FRSC lead on this project and has done a fantastic job as well, I just wanted to share about kind of the momentum of the project and where we're at. At this stage, we cannot publicly confirm that we've received funding from the province for this project, but I can share that it looks and feels very good that we will receive that funding, and there will be hopefully an announcement sometime very soon to confirm that funding to the community. Federally, we actually have a first sign of federal funding towards this project. There was recently an approved 80% funding for 2026 expenses from ACOA. And this is a positive advancement. This was budgeted. It's a little higher than expected. We weren't expecting 80% from ACOA for the 2026 design-related expenses. But this does show that the federal government is now becoming more involved in this project and that federal funds are investing in it. Prior to that, it was all obviously regional and provincial funding that was supporting the project. So that is a nice first sign of federal involvement in the project. In terms of the broader construction cost and the federal portion of that, recognizing that the provincial portion is hopefully something we will hear about in the public soon. The federal portion, Chair Doucette and I did meet with Wayne Long a few weeks ago now, and it was a very positive meeting. I don't want to put you on the spot, Chair Doucette, but perhaps you might share a little bit about what you thought were the outcomes of that interaction with Wayne Long.
Yeah, it went really well. Basically, he's excited about the project like we all are. And, his funding wise, we basically were saying we need guarantee that you're going to come on board with this. And he said, basically, you'll find the money. It's going to move forward. And he's got different areas where he's going to look for certain funding. He was very positive and excited. So anything else, Phil?
Yeah, I think we shared with Wayne as nicely as we could that time's ticking. And we ultimately need a confirmation by May of this year to ensure the continued progress of this project and to not invite any delays, and that it's really the last piece to offer in terms of the partnership of financing for this. And he's very, very supportive, is optimistic about identifying the funds, and that the links to provincial and federal goals are so strong, and it would be important for them to find the funding for this.
Yeah.
I see Brittany has a question. Perhaps we can grab that before we go on.
Sorry, Brittany, you.
Thanks, Phil. Thanks, Mr. Chair. Just a question. So the design funding is coming from ACOA. What department is the construction funding? Like where are we targeting for that? Can you clarify, please?
Yeah. From Wayne Long's perspective, it would be through infrastructure. They believe that's where it is. They've also, we say that the application was submitted and we got a call from Heritage. So it sounds like the application is being fed through different departments at this stage. One thing that we do believe is very likely is that ACOA will be sort of our quarterback to this in these projects. It has happened in the past. That still remains unclear if that will be the case. One thing that is clear is that there is not a program that criteria identified, apply here, submit application. This is going to be somewhat of a unique partnership, and it will require elected official involvement in order for it to be resolved, because the fund that we're all waiting for will probably take another 6 to 9 months to finalize, to be rolled out publicly, the one that was announced as part of the federal budget in the end of last year.
Any more comments or questions? Okay, moving on, Phil.
Yeah, I think with that, I'd like to pass this on to Graham to coordinate the next steps and to get to a presentation.
We're on, Graham.
Great, thank you, Chair. Good morning. I'm delighted to present the progress we've made on this aquatic center enhancement project the last few months. Obviously, this whole project and the facility is a cornerstone of sport and health and recreation in our region, but also in New Brunswick and Atlantic Canada. And so I'm here now presenting 3 recommendations from the Regional Facilities Committee as outlined in your board package. But also we have some wonderful presenters and expertise in the room and online to hear from. So I'll try to keep my portion brief and cover what's required from an FRSC staff perspective. It's hard to believe, but the 2029 Canada Games are rapidly approaching, especially when we think about infrastructure investment. And as we know, the Aquatic Center must evolve from being this robust but aging facility to be a future-proof facility in our region. And so the vision, of course, as we've been presenting all along, is the idea that we need to go beyond the game's technical specs and build a lasting legacy for athletes, children's schools, seniors, and basically people across our region and our province for the decades to come as well. That looks at extending the lifespan, increasing accessibility, the economic boost that comes from not only the games, but the construction facility as well, and the operational savings that may be inherent in renewed energy efficiency and usability and attraction of the facility itself. The FRSC's 2026 capital budget allocated just over $1 million for this initiative, as you're all aware. That included specific project funding earmarked for construction management services, budget for continuing design costs, and then the actual capital construction for this year. And that made a lot of assumptions around, as was outlined in previous board recommendations, external support from the province, from federal government, from the Canada Games Host Society, and a number of other areas. I won't touch too much on this. CEO Olette did a great job of explaining the progress on the funding file, including from that likelihood with an announcement hopefully coming soon from ACOA, from the province on the capital contribution on a number of areas. And I just wanted to say that the discussions around that and echo the idea that they've been extremely productive, that the team at the city as well has been very supportive whenever we need to turn an application around or get additional information between FRSC and the city and our consultants. We've been extremely responsive to all of that and providing what's needed to make sure that we're moving forward on all of this. On that budget point, it's important to note as we look at those recommendations from the Regional Facilities Committee that while we were looking to move forward to Phase C and approval of Phase B today and some other points, those resolutions do not constitute a vote to commence construction or to adjust any contributions within the 2026 budget. This is not going to be a decision that's made until we get a construction manager's fixed price proposal received and we look at detailed design at a later stage. And I think that the recommendations in front of you in the package are very clear around that idea of still being budget conscious, looking at value engineering and considering that construction management process. And that I want to reference quickly, just explain. It's one of the elements brought forward by the Regional Facilities Committee, initiated by a motion of this board during our December special meeting, was to develop a risk registry to look at mechanical, structural, schedule, funding, exposures, and present that to both committee and the board. We have developed that with the city as the lead of that and the staff there. And as you'll see in the recommendations, the Regional Facilities Committee wanted, I think they appreciated seeing that and would also like to see regular updates. So we are committed to presenting updates to that risk registry as we move forward at future regional facilities committee meetings to make sure that we're staying on top of that. I'll just say at present, the identified risks are all in sort of low to medium likelihood. And we've got a number of mitigation strategies in place that are outlined within that risk registry, including constructability reviews early on, value engineering programs, and of course that construction management firm and the RFP for it, which has been finalized and is or will be released this week by the City of St. John. And that construction management firm helps us mitigate some of these cost and constructability risks and work with the design consultants in this next phase, shifting some of that risk away from the FRSC at the regional level to this firm as well. So we believe that engaging that CM now, we can gain additional expertise that'll help add some more discipline to change controls, protect us from unforeseen escalations, and to share any savings that they might realize with their relationships with suppliers and contractors, that kind of thing. So our next steps after today include, presuming we move forward on the recommendations from the Regional Facilities Committee, we need to finalize and push forward on those funding commitments for our consultants to continue working with them towards detailed design, to get that construction management firm on board to work alongside them, and to come back with the information outlined in the agenda. So this is all in mind. As I said, 2029 is coming soon, and our construction deadline, I should say, of the end of June in 2028 is really important to make sure that we reach that and keep moving forward on the sustainability and accessibility and excellence of this facility as well. So with that in mind, I think, why listen to me some more when we have, as I mentioned, great experts in the room. So I'm going to pull up the slide deck from our design consultants, MJMA and Acre, and get them to introduce themselves, both in person and I know Ricardo's online as well, and walk us through phase B, through the exciting design process they've been involved in, and tell us about what makes this facility great and how it's going to be even greater moving forward.
Cool. Thanks. Hello, everyone.
Hi.
Go ahead, Anna.
I'm Anna Jessom. I'm an associate and an architect at Acre.
And I'm Monica Adair from Acre Architects, and we have a practice here in St. John, New Brunswick, and one in Halifax, Nova Scotia. And we are a design-first social impact firm where we want to create 100 transformational stories by the year 2030. And Canada Games is absolutely top of our list. And we'll go over to Ricardo.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Ricardo. I'm a senior associate at MJMA Architects. So we're a firm based in Toronto. We have over 35 years of experience in designing and building aquatic facilities and community projects. We have designed over 50 pools today, and we're currently actually building 2 aquatic facilities in New Brunswick, and one of them with Acre Architects as well, and which has been a great experience. So yeah, I'll pass it on to you, Monica.
Great. Thanks for that.
So we're here today to share how the project is coming to life, to give updates on the budget and schedule and breakdown of the work being done. Having completed the end of phase B, which was our schematic design phase. Our agenda for today is we're going to look at the goal and opportunity of this project. We're going to talk to you about the storied elements. We'll be going through the intervention approach, talking about the costing and cost estimation, the timeline, and ending on some gold medal moments. Next slide. So the goal and the opportunity. The goal of the project, we have the Canada Games in 2029, and this project is going to deliver an excellent Canada Games, hosting people from all across this country here in the region. The opportunity of this project really lies in beyond the games and setting us this infrastructure, this building and this asset up for the generations to come, contributing to community health and wellness, social impact, of course, and sport and performance. So the next one.
And just to position this as budget is absolutely really important on this project. There's a lot of risk management. We're doing a renovation. We know that that's top of mind. But as we are engaged to serve the city, the region, the province, and Atlantic Canada, we need to be thinking about what brings value to this project. What are the aspirations of this project, and how do we know it's going to be a success? So those are always our markers. So at the end of the day, it could come in on budget and it still not be a success. And if it comes in over budget, that's not a success. So we need to find a way to understand what is it that we're trying to do. So this is what we heard. First of all, this is an old asset. So renewed and reimagined is really important for this. We've had something that feels like it's in the center, the heart of St. John, but it really needs to bring new life and support excellence beyond the games. We need to expand our welcome. Today, it's deep underground to get to the pool, and it's not the most accessible, visible, welcoming invite for the world and for our communities. So what we want to do is open those doors to more people, more citizens coming in, people feeling like this is actually infrastructure that they can use on a more readable basis. Weekend warriors and destination fun. If you are families, you want to know what you're going to do on the weekends. You want to know where you're going to bring your kids. This has to be a place of celebration, fun, birthday parties. It has to come back to life. So that we're really excited about what this is going to bring. The user experience, we're only as good as our last visit. So if people remember this place as, oh, it really needs a lot of work, or it feels old or cold, we want to make sure that we're elevating the quality of that space so that it's for memorable moments. That's ease of flow, that's circulation, that's accessibility. We want to think about all of those things. The road to 2041 starts here. So Anna's 20-month-old can try to get to the Canada Games, but Arthur can only get there if there are supporting infrastructure for these kids to grow. That means fitness, that means recovery, integrated wellness, that means taking care of future athletes. We always say that great things don't just have to happen in big cities. Like here is where we want to see excellence for our communities. We want children to be able to visibly see that this is actually a place I can come, live, and return to if they go away. So this is really important to us. A great place to work. We want to be elevating the staff experience, and that comes with great spaces. This is a healthy space, place you want to come to work. Sparks energy, pride, and exceptional service. And finally, raising the bar. The games establish not only for St. John, but the region to say, and the province, that sporting events can happen here more frequently, that we're starting to be the go-to destination for quality engaged events. Those are the things for us that we heard matter beyond just saying this is good for St. John, this is good for the games, this is what we need to really see success.
And all of this, of course, being done while hitting the mark on the technical requirements, rules, codes, standards, and setting us up to meet the sustainability targets for net zero emissions for 2040, putting this project on a low carbon way. I'm going to walk through the different zones that we've outlined where we'll be doing interventions on the project. I think this group has seen this before, but it's I'm just going to spot the few pointed things here. So zone A, that is the entrance at the entry level of the building. We are expanding and renovating the entrance to the aquatic facility. To make a more welcoming experience, to understand where the entry is at this point, to identify the entrance, invite people in, and create a better flow into the building. Zone B will be doing some exterior entrance and parking upgrades. Zone C is spectator seating construction, so that doesn't exist right now, but would be at the main entrance level coming in and provide spectator seating for the 50-meter pool. Zone D is a fitness center renovation of a lift, a refit. Zone E, that is the leisure pool configurations, and Ricardo will be walking through the details of that intervention in later slides. And Zone F is the change room configuration renovation, so making inclusive, accessible washrooms and change rooms for the people who visit the center. Zone G is competition pool. There's some deck retiling and some natatorium renovations. Zone H, we are replacing the existing pool deck bleachers to provide more seating to meet the requirements for the Canada Games participant seating. Zone I is some meeting room configurations and renovations. Zone J, that is the lifeguard meeting and storage room reconfigurations at the deck level to make safer or better visibility. Zone K, we have the leisure pool filtration to support the upgrades to the leisure pools. And Zone L, we have some multi-purpose room and clinic renovations underway as well. We'll go to the next slide. So this is the current entrance of the Canada Games Aquatic Center. You know, the building was built well, it was finished for the Canada Games in 1985. And then at a later date, this entrance was added to that. And we really see that in the opportunity of adding the additional space, we can improve upon the way that we're inviting people into this building. And many people don't actually have trouble navigating, or they have trouble navigating the entrance of this. And this brings us in actually to what is the existing pedway. And then you go through another set of doors right now before you get into the aquatic center. So what we're proposing, if we go to the next slide.
Yeah, and just one back here, just for extent, if we could just go back just very quickly. What we're looking at currently, changing from what feels like a little portal from into a big city, creating a bit of a threshold, a welcoming addition that improves flow. But just for context, it would probably take up this area that you're seeing here in terms of expansion. That's as much as we're coming out of the building. The rest is happening within a renovation space. Okay, thanks, Graham. And here, a little tricky, this is a Union Street, St. Patrick. But what we're trying to do, and this is the existing roof of the building, but instead of just adding a new addition that makes it look like it has a fancy new entrance, but we're not thinking about the whole building, is what we're trying to do is integrate a way to open up at the entrance and have this almost gold medal moment circulation that comes out and visible again on St. Patrick's Street, on that corner of St. Patrick and Union, as a gateway welcome to the city. So that's going to be something we're going to look a little bit more at. So here is a conceptual sketch of what is that opening of that entrance. So going from that little porthole door and having a welcoming gesture that comes in. Now we're looking at proper ramps. We're looking at safety and drop off. We're looking at understanding in a city that's sometimes hard to navigate because of its topography, is saying, oh, that's a visible entrance, an iconic, and an update to our existing landmark.
And I'll speak to just quickly to, this is a sketch plan of the new entrance. The effort of this expansion is, of course, providing a greater welcome, helping to better navigate from both at the entrance level, access to, this is the new spectator seating, overlooking the competition pool, which will be directly from that entrance level, creating a connection between the aquatic center and the entrance of the pedway, and providing a better journey down into the facility as you reach the pool level too.
So today you kind of go down steep stairs and it doesn't feel very welcoming. We have an elevator core and the great stair that's going to encourage a better circulation, more flow, and a much more welcoming connection, both between pedway, exterior, and flow through down to the facility.
Ricardo?
Yeah.
Yep. So thank you. Thanks, Anna. So Anna and Monica talked about the main entrance, this big moment, and now we're like to take you on a little tour of the actual aquatic hall. So the other big moment here. So this is the full extent of the interventions on the aquatic hall per se. So we have, in general terms, we have new water slide. We have a new TOTS pool, a new 25-meter warm-up pool. We're going to refinish the pool deck as well, and we will have a new upper spectator seating and a new on-deck bleacher seating for athletes. So this is just a sort of a quick overview. Now, the next slide will show how we're preparing for the Canada Games. So in here, we, in consultation with the Canada Games stakeholders, we're planning for the event. So we're looking at this pool hall and setting it up for the event. So we're looking at how athletes circulate through the space, the sequencing of events that take place, including the podium, the media box, the officials, the warm-up pool. All of that is taken into account here for the Canada Games. So the other aspect of the design of this pool hall is the next slide. Well, before we go there, this is just an image from the spectator seating looking down onto the event. This is how we envision it to unfold, with the athletes on the lower level and officials on the lower level, and the spectators up on the upper level in the new bleacher seating. This slide here then talks about beyond the games. So this is the other aspect of the design of this aquatic hall, which is we're thinking about this long term, so beyond the games. And what does that mean? So there's a great opportunity to have 2 new pool tanks here for leisure. So the Tots pool, a completely new pool tank with a beach entry and pool ramp, and a proper 25-meter pool, and the new water slide. So all of this taking into consideration accessibility and user experience. Obviously, the 50-meter pool still remains there for training and diving, for serious athletes to come here and train. I believe the next image shows the this is an image of the leisure pool tanks. So you can see here in the foreground, that's the Tots pool with a ramp accessing to the water, and beyond the 25-meter pool and water slide, the new water slide as well. We're also looking at the design of this pool hall. We're bringing it up to the new current standards in aquatic design. What does that mean? For instance, mechanically, we're tweaking the mechanical system so that we actually have a low-level air supply on one side, and we actually return this air on the low level on the other side. What does this do? This really mitigates the amount of trichloramine that you have in the space. So that's really promotes a healthier environment, and also eliminates the long-term risk of corrosion to these types of facilities. So we're introducing this concept to the design as well, which is very exciting. This slide here talks about the staff and safety. So a new lifeguard station with ample views to the pool decks, a new on-deck multipurpose room for flexibility, and extended pool deck where it's much needed. The next slide talks about a new universal change room. So this is a key component for user experience. We're introducing a new concept of change room, which is up to the current standards of these types of facilities. It's catering for families, individuals, groups of people, and enhanced accessibility and safety. That's the key priority on this type of design. The next slide shows the entrance to the pool deck from the change room. So, we really want to enhance the user experience of the facility, and I think this image really captures that. It's an open and safe environment for kids, families, and everyone, really. So this slide really talks about costing, our latest costing report from January, from this month. And so we've organized costing per zone, as Anna introduced all the zones. So the same way we've kind of organized all the costing per zone here. Before we kind of look right into the numbers, we have to say that in our experience, a new facility of this kind, a new aquatic center, the way we're seeing the cost coming in lately, we're looking around $975 per square foot to about $1,300 per square foot, depending on the level of spec. we're actually at $350 per square foot for this renovation. We think this is a tremendous value. I mean, it's not only fiscally responsible, but it's actually really smart. You know, the facility is there. It's a great facility. And for the overall construction cost of $26.9 million, that's giving you a lot. So giving the province and the city of St. John a lot for that value. So we in this cost, so just a few details here. This cost does include you know, a series of contingencies. So we have a 20% design contingency. So this being a renovation, it's you know, it's slightly riskier than a brand new building. But so we actually have a slightly higher design contingency. We've added that in. We've inbuilt that in. And we have also a 5% construction contingency and a 4% escalation. We also included here a list of exclusions, what's excluded from this cost, which is broken then down into soft costs and risk management. We can come back to this slide. I'm just going to perhaps continue on to the next slide. Just to kind of talk about the timeline, we've currently finished phase B. So we've met earlier at the end of phase A. Now we're meeting at the end of phase B, where we actually have an actual design. And we are now entering phase C, which is the detailed design phase of the project. So that's going to take us all the way till June. From June onwards, there is a period of 23 months for construction, which takes us to the hard deadline of June 30th, 2028 for completion. I don't know if there's maybe the next slide. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that where are we now and where do we have to go is I think there's a real understanding of where we are going to be optimizing budget, working with a CM that's going to be onboarded to really understand what our costs and where we find the value. But at the same time, our design exercise is now getting into details, but ensuring what we're calling gold medal moments, that we're creating spaces that at the end, you're actually getting value for all the things that you're seeing, that you're actually being able to go back to your communities and say, this is a win for all of us. So those are the things that we want to be tracking through this entire project as we continue to optimize for budget, optimize for short-term versus operational, and also understanding the funding that you're getting today against the funding that might not be available in the future. So all of those factors are going to be weighed, and risk management is one that, you know, we're lucky to work with Samir and Jeff to really start getting into these in a lot of detail so we can put some visibility around that for you. So at the end of the day, this is a great news story, I have to say. It's hard when we're dealing with the dollars to start that conversation, but this is a renewal for the province, which we're absolutely thrilled to be part of. So thank you.
Great, thank you. Question from Brittany, go ahead.
Thank you, everybody. And thanks for the presentation. The building design looks quite spectacular. So it's an exciting project for sure. And I like the focus on beyond the Canada Games because, as we know, this building has been in use already since 1985, and we want it to be a legacy project. I do have some questions. Again, this is one of the first times I've been involved in a project of this scale. If we could go back to the slide about the actual costs, and you've got the exclusions. I'm not really clear on what that, so we've got inclusions, then we've got exclusions. So what does that actually mean in terms of the budget? So those are, do you know what I mean? Like, so we've got the 26.9 million. Are these costs over and above the 26.9 million? Is that why they're considered excluded?
Yeah, so we're happy to go through this, and we're actually fortunate that we get to redo a presentation. I think Nancy asked some of these good questions last time, so we expanded on this slide a bit more. So before we answer your question, we'll just start with the context of some of you are seeing 26.9. Anna's going to take you through the difference in the number where we started, where was 26.9, and then walk you through the exclusions, and then we'll go over, if Jeff needs to add more, we'll go into there.
Yeah, so there has been, since we presented for phase A, a $4.7 million increase to the construction cost. About 40% of that was work that we did on scope alignment following doing the cost estimate of phase A. So additional items that we deemed were important for the renovation of the project and success of the project. And about another 60% of them are reflected in the fact that in phase A, we were doing diagrams and we were scoping something, but we actually started designing and engineering things in this phase. So we have a good handle now on what the actual design and engineering challenges of the renovation and the complexity of them are. We're still carrying that 20% design contingency. So all the inclusions, those are items that in addition to estimating the actual cost for materials and labor to build the work, they're percentages that we apply to all of our cost estimates, general conditions and fees. That's what's being paid to the contractor for not just actually doing the subcontractor work, but they have trailers on site, they get paid, they have people who are project managers who are working on the project, et cetera. Ricardo touched on the design contingency. That is, as we are only still just at the end of the schematic design phase, we still have to learn about things. So we always only have so much information in our drawings at this point, and we get more and more detailed. And as we get more and more detailed, we get more information for our cost estimators, and that number goes down. So when we're actually tendering a project, we don't have a design contingency at all. 5% construction contingency is an industry standard for changes, new information that comes up as we're doing as they're building the project. So that's fairly typical. And we have carried the 4% for escalation, assuming the tender and we actually start construction in Q2 of 2026 soon. The exclusions, those are that list was produced by our cost estimator, and it's their way of telling us like we did not include that in our estimate. Some of them are items that will be project costs, and so Jeff can speak a bit more to what those are from the city managing the full project cost. And those we've just marked as what as under soft costs. So those are costs we do expect to be related to the project. The risk
And money could be already allotted to that.
Yes.
Just say they're expected, they're excluded from the 26.9. That doesn't mean they're not budgeted for. So Jeff will go into more detail with that.
The items that are in the risk management column are items that that could happen that have not been part of the estimate, but they are part of managing the risk of the project. We grayed out a couple of them, or a few of them here since our last presentation, recognizing that they're not applicable to this project. We don't expect there to be issues with soil chemical analysis or removal of contaminated soils in this building or special foundations. So we added some clarity around those. So I don't know, Jeff, do you want to elaborate on that?
In the column of soft costs, Samir and I allocated those soft costs in our application for the 80% funding from ACOA, and the remainder of that was budgeted in the 2026 capital. So it's all.
So the risk management project will continue to understand tariffs do affect costs in construction. We know that. And those are things that when we're working with the CM is where we're tracking material selection, supplier selection, things like that are elements that we'll want to be able to keep working with to ensure that that's how we manage those risks. Doesn't mean that we can stop them, but we can work with them, I guess. Does that answer your question, Brittany?
Yeah, it certainly gives me some clarity. Thank you. And then Mr. Chair, I have a follow-up and then one more question, if that's okay.
Sure.
Okay, thanks. So under the exclusions, we have development fees and then we have approvals and permit fees. Who are those meant to be paid to? Is it the province? Is it the city?
This is, yeah, it's really, yeah, this would be part of the building permit by, which would be required by the construction manager. This will be part of the construction project, included part of it.
And then my other question, I noticed in the report that there are one of the reasons that that the new estimate has gone up is that there are additional scope items. So exactly what were the additional scope items and what impact do they have on the new Class C estimate?
Yeah, I could go through those at a high level. So there's the zone L, if you look at the presentation between phase A and phase B. So there were some additional items within, like we were not renovating the multipurpose room or the clinics when we were doing phase A. So we reviewed now. So the details of those, I'm not going to maybe list them all off, but there are some issues with the wall that's separating the multipurpose room right now, as well as the flooring there. There's also the initial cost estimate didn't have any interior glazing replacements, so we included the interior glazing replacements at the entrance level. They're poor performing glazing. Obviously creates issues with energy costs and the conditions within an aquatic center. As far as the ventilation and the light, there's condensation on them. So we did add those replacements to the project. Ricardo, did I forget a third one? I think it was just those two.
No, I think so. I think there was electrical upgrades that were brought in as well, right? I don't know if you mentioned that.
Yes, sorry, no, I didn't mention that, and that's an important third one right there. Yeah, so the electrical service for the building is original to the building. It's 1985. It's past its service life, and of course, there's a concern that if we don't replace that, that we would do all of this and would not be able to deliver the Canada Games or the Legacy project without that. So that was a decision that was made to include that. That's it.
I just want to clarify a couple of things here.
Yeah.
The reason we add this cost, the electrical upgrade, the windows and other stuff, these we need to be doing it, whether we can do it now with 70 to 75% funding, or we're gonna do it later on when we may not have some funding. We know we need to do the electrical upgrade. So the whole system, safety issue there. So that's why we make a decision here on the, to be cost effective here. Why don't we include it as part of our project here? And this will help us to reduce risk and help us get as much money from the government, because we don't know this is gonna happen. Couple of years, we may not get this money, then we have to pay the 100% cost. This was part of our capital planning when we did the building completion assessment on our building to see what can we benefit for us right now instead of changing later on.
So we're aware of the complexity of both the life cycle costing of a project, an investment that needs to be upgraded at some point, the funding model, and also your budget at this point. So we're weighing all of those and understanding which ones, trying to give as much information of which ones have value today, which ones would be, not only are you going to pay without the funding that you're getting today, but we're seeing a 4% escalation and then a renovation on top of something that you've already just made new. So we're talking about stoppage of work, again, closing this facility. So all of these things, I think your client is weighing, and we're helping to provide as much information as we can to make those decisions.
Any more comments or questions from the board? The presentation? I have one on the seating. You know how many roughly is set when it's done?
Yeah, right now it's about 300 to 350 seats. We're still in the process of doing the detailed design. It's a pretty I would say pretty complex structural exercise to integrate that into that, but based on the space that's there and the view plates that we've been looking at.
So bench seating?
It's bench seating. And it includes accessible barrier-free seating on there as well.
Good. All right.
Did you want to go, Jake?
No, Jim.
I'll make a comment. This concerns me. It's a beautiful, beautiful project. It's very well laid out, and I can see that this is what serves the community in the region for many, many years. Fantastic job. When it comes to money, I get very concerned. We're already $5 million over our estimated cost. And then I'm sure looking at this, there's a lot of other things here that the unknowns that are kind of scary as well. When I look at your, when you look at your piping and you're looking at valves and all that kind of stuff under medium to low risk. We haven't put a shovel in the ground yet and we're running way over budget. The other thing that concerns me is when we were approached to support the Canada Games, it was to enhance it for the athletes that come to the project. But when I look at this, there's all kinds of things here that really have nothing to do with the Canada Games, but to be there for years to come, which is great. Like new hot tub, new water slide, new tiny tots pool, new warm-up pool. These are all things that are nothing to do with the Canada Games. And my concern is this bumps the cost up, which will affect my community in a great way. When it comes to things that we want to do, but we won't have the money to do those projects because we're going to be putting money into this. And there's going to be more cost overruns. So I'm very, very concerned about this.
Right. Cost is definitely the concern for all of us. I think that we don't want to see a project like this not succeed and not go for. So thank you for that. I think that's really important to hear the perspectives on this. Absolutely. I think one of the big things of the over budget is it's taken us and it's taken time to align on what is the budget. So the budget that was in previously, it's hard to start seeing it's escalating. I don't think we had the right budget because we didn't have the right scope and the right understanding of the project beyond the theoretical. So I'm not here to say, I promise it's not going up. I'm saying now we have a budget with the right scope that we now have to keep to understand what's the most value. And games first, I think we're going through a lot of slides quickly. The games is very, very high on this priority list. And I think it's what brings it out. But beyond the games, we want to make sure that this is not a giant facility where we have 50-meter pool, one of the best in the province, the only one, but sits empty and we don't activate. So I think you're absolutely right in saying what is the essence of what's the essential, and then how much do the others drive and what's the value that those bring. But the over budget is today, this is the budget we need to manage because we understand it. And I think before that was I think it was a number put in early on a theoretical basis without really understanding the complexity and what was actually needed. So now it's a difficult decision of optimizing, figuring out which pieces really are the ones that may or may not shift and change based on the decision making that you need. And we'll provide that information for you along the way.
Yeah, thank you for the presentation. Certainly exciting and if it's anything like the original building and what it brought to the community, it's wonderful. However, there are also excluded prices that have not been worked into that 26.9 million. So those are they're not hidden, they're there, but we also as paying partners have to factor that in. The construction contingency, so 5%. So when I look at what it's been bumped up just recently, and you've explained all of that, and I certainly appreciate that. But is 5% going to cover it? And then I look at 15% for the general conditions and fees for the CM and 20% for the design contingency. Those are significant contingencies. That would cover, I'm imagining that covers what CM would do or what you are doing. But if there are increased costs at this point, is that going to be covered by the design contingency if there are additional costs, or is that going to come back to the partners again? I think we'll ask Jeff to speak to that somewhat as well, but I'll just say that the inclusions Those contingencies are related to the construction costs. So if there's things beyond the what's included in the construction scope, that's what that risk management column.
Correct.
Yeah.
And all the things that you see on the screen and the inclusion now in soft cost, we had already taken a look at that, and Samir and I, when we did our application to COA, we kind of laid out for a COA, like if there's need for geotechnical survey or geotechnical investigation and different things, hazardous material investigation. We included that with a COA, so that money was accounted for, and it was accounted for in the 2026 capital. So it says exclusion there, but it actually is in the project for 2026. As Anna and Monica kind of alluded to, their costing consultant has that kind of standard list that they use when they provide costing to projects, is to say, we didn't include this in our costing, but it's been included in the project.
And in the past, I think we've only talked about construction costs and not your project costs, to your point, that they're all costs that are carried. I think the thing that's scary is when those soft costs that people didn't know about. So I think we're in a place that those are being visibly carried and now communicated about more openly.
Yes.
The risk management ones are really important to track. But back to your design contingency, I think this is where we're getting into the technical details. We are going to see that there's more complexity to some parts, maybe less in others, savings in certain areas. But that's where the design contingency allows us to say, well, we don't quite know what this is today, but we can get more and more detailed, and that should cover this part. And that's where with the CM, they will be helping us to ensure that we're not trying to dip and go into, now we need another contingency. This is where the hard work really lies. And that's also in choices and selections and having a team that's always looking at that. So budget alignment really early on exactly what that number is and what the scope is so that we can get there and help track that. And it's a speed, there's a speed game in this one because the games isn't moving. So we really do need to make timely decisions on budget so that you're not doing a rework project and then stuck with something. So they're very important things to the complexity.
Yeah, important to understand here, all of you here. So Canada Game Aquatic Center, whether you like it or you don't like it, it's happily intense building. It does require capital upgrade. It does require capital maintenance because of the specialty equipment we have there, because of the existing condition of the building, and because it makes it needed. Canada Game Aquatic Center, if you want to look at it, it's one of the most capital intense building across Canada. And every municipality are struggling here. So when we did the project, the $22 million, it was like less than last year estimate. We didn't have a clear idea where we get into. So that was for us was a baseline. And that's where we are right now because of what Aker and MGA been doing. We went into the detailed design, detail aspect. Are we expecting another increase? Yeah, we may not expect increase. Maybe we'll find issue in the piping, we may find issue in our electrical, maybe we'll find issue with some of the foundation, but that's why we have the contingency, and that's why we need to work closely with CM to try to mitigate this issue and try if we can reduce some of the cost. And that's why also we need to keep ongoing discussion with the various level of government, RDC, ECOWA, to keep on what's going on that front and try to somehow we can try to mitigate and reduce the cost for everyone here. City of St. John, we are very much interested to reduce the cost as much we can and to get the most funding we can get in order to be good for everybody. And we are taking this into consideration. It is on our mind, and we do understand the financial challenge on everybody here. It's always in our mind, and we're working hard to make sure we can address some of your concerns. Sorry about the long speech here.
Thank you. It's all good. John?
Thanks, Rob. It's interesting because there's some things that I've learned here today. I mean, I'm not a builder, and certainly this is the biggest project that I've been involved in too, Brittany. So, but it is interesting to see that, there's things that as a layperson I would never dream of that would have to be replaced in a building that, 1985, to me, that's not that old. But for a building that's going to have to be brought up to code in order to have the games, there's a lot of things that I didn't think about, and apparently I'm not the only one. But what doesn't really surprise me is when a term's thrown out like tariffs. Like, we're dealing with stuff today that we weren't dealing with a long time ago, and I'm hoping that everything that we get for this facility, most of it's Canadian, or at least from countries that are not, adversary to us right now. But no, I think that I get confidence in this team because they have done so many other projects that, for the team, it's not surprising, but for me and I'm sure others, there's a lot of surprises here. But at the end of the day, I can say with confidence that I think that, if something has to be knocked off or something else to be brought in, that those decisions are going to be made in good faith and keep the costs as low as we possibly can. So thanks for the presentation. I've learned a lot here today and learn a lot more going forward. Thanks.
Thanks, John. Phil.
Great. Thanks. I thought I'd maybe just share some kind of summary reflections of what we've heard, because there's a lot of players involved here, and I think it might be important for the board to reestablish its role in this. The board's role is the investor. You don't own this facility. Well, Director McKenzie does, but we do not. But we are the investor. So we play an important role. We have a mandate to do this legislatively. I know that is something we are ongoing discussion, but it is something that the board said, let's go through this. And I want to maybe just reassure you of the steps we're taking for our due diligence, because that is protecting your role as the investor. So the first is what you're hearing today. We need to find out what's this project? What's the design of this project? How much is it going to cost? What's in? What makes the best sense? I wouldn't know a wall needs to be replaced or not. Designers know that. Engineers know that. So we're getting that. We're going through that process. That's what the board felt was appropriate, is the right thing to do in pursuing this project, is to get these updates, bring it back to the committee, bring it back to the board, and determining that. Another piece that you heard about today is we got to confirm the money. We got to go and we got to secure that money from federal and provincial dollars for this project to be viable. So that's the other due diligence that we have to do for this project. Now, moving towards the recommendations that are found in here, you're going to see some additional mitigation that we're doing. One is around scope. We started this project assuming a smaller number than what we're seeing now. And the designers did exactly what they're supposed to do. They said, this makes the most logical sense to pursue the project in this particular way, because you're already going to be in there, so you might as well replace that wall. You should go in here, you might as well replace the electrical. And that's what good designers do. But that's not necessarily what we have to do. That's what they're saying they would recommend we do. So part of the resolution we have is to say, come back and tell us, what would a project look like if we do not need some of the things that are identified, and what would be, if we maintain that cost that was originally identified, what would go? Can you tell us that? That's our prerogative as an investor to ask that question. And that's absolutely what will happen next, is to say, what would that be? We might be convinced that the higher cost is absolutely required and a wise thing to do, or we could say, well, those look like reasonable things to scope down from this project. So that's a thing that's part of this resolution. The second one is risk mitigation. And we're talking about this a lot in different ways, but you might not all see it as bundled in this way. One is what I believe is a very creative approach identified by the City of St. John to hire a construction manager. This will mitigate our risks in the longer term, and it is a major effort towards risk mitigation. So that's important. As you'll see, another part of the resolution is that we get a risk registry regular. The committee is reviewing the risks of this project going forward. That includes all these contingencies, these exclusions, where are they at, how are they funded, and they're going to continue updating that. And that's, I think, really a strong part of our due diligence as an organization to support the investor in this. And then lastly, as we discussed, and it's open, that we do believe that it's important to clarify roles and responsibilities and costs through an agreement. So an agreement will also will manage risk as well. So, from my perspective, we're kind of ticking off a lot of the boxes here that you would expect as an investor for us to do in our due diligence. We're not asking you to make the decision today, but I do think that I'm comforted in the amount of due diligence and support that you're getting as investors in what is a very important and significant decision for the region, which everybody involved recognizes. So I thought I'd just kind of summarize that because I think it provides a lot of context for the role of the board.
Thank you, Phil. Any more comments or questions from the board? Thank you for your presentation again. The updates are great. We need to have them. The concern is always finances for our towns. And I will say the discussion with Wayne Long, we were there, Phil, was he was very, they're looking at this into if they had to build a new pool for this facility, it would be 2 to 3 times more. So they're looking at, that's a good investment to have the only 50-meter pool in the province, and it will be a provincial pool, basically. It'll be used by everybody, which is a great benefit to our region, as we know. So there are goods, and there's also a risk. The risk is what we're worried. We have to be worried about for our own towns to be involved in this. So moving forward, we'll look forward to your updates and your work on it. We appreciate, we do know that, finances are the big deal.
They are the real deal.
Yeah, it is. We just went through it with our new building in Hampton, and it was very complicated and got very expensive, but we got it.
We're fortunate to have MJMA, and they are bringing tenders in actively. They're across Canada.
Yes.
So we get to learn from those as well. So we're not just, we might be doing this one for the first time in a long time, but they're doing it repeatedly. So just, it's also to see that information coming in. It's also wanted to share that.
And we hired a project manager too, and it was a very good move.
Great. I'm happy to hear that.
Very good move.
Great.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
There's 3 motions.
Yeah. So,
I can bring those on behalf of the committee, Mr. Chair, if you like the resolution.
yes, that'd be great. Thank you.
So I think we need to do these one at a time.
Great.
So the first, I'd like to make the first resolution, and if you get a second, I'd like to just comment on it.
Yes.
So the first is accept the consultant's presentation and report on Phase B of the Canada Games Aquatic Center Enhancement Project design and authorize advancement to Phase C, inclusive of the City of St. John securing construction management services, conditional on formal approval from ACOA of 80% funding for the support of the Phase C budget and the balance drawn from the 2026 capital budget allocation. Right, that's the first resolution.
And moved by Nancy, second by John on the question.
And if I could just comment on that. So obviously, the committee had major discussion around this as well. And I think everybody knows that the Regional Facilities Committee consists of the CAOs of all of the partners and 2 board members, Mayor Doucette and myself. And so we saw, of course, that the cost has increased by $5 million. The conditional part of this motion, conditional on formal approval from ACOA of 80% funding for Phase C, that has been achieved. That is in writing, I believe, Phil. That's correct. And the other piece of information that we got this morning as well is that the RDC has confirmed 33% funding for the entire project. Unfortunately, that was based on the 22 million figure, which leaves us with a $5 million gap. And so the members of the committee were quite adamant that one of 2 things has to happen. We have to either find more money or reduce the scope of the project, because it was unanimous around the table from the 6 outlying municipalities that there's no more money from the municipalities. There's nothing left to give. And that speaks to Jim's comment as well. So that was the discussion at regional facilities. There's the first motion.
Very good. It's all true. All in favor? Reminded. Jim's contract. Hold it, please.
And the second motion is direct the Service Commission, the City of St. John, and project consultants to present recommendations to the Regional Facilities Committee and the FRSC Board of Directors on possible project scoping adjustments to mitigate escalating cost outlined in Phase B of the Canada Games Aquatic Center Enhancement Project, all the while upholding the goal of achieving upgrades to deliver on the 2029 Canada Games and equipping the facility for continued operational excellence and efficiency.
Moved by Nancy, second by Brittany. Question on this motion? All in favor?
Aye.
Contrary minded? Motion carried.
And the third recommendation was actually added by the committee. It was not, there were two, the first two motions were presented to the committee, and we are concerned enough about the $5 million overrun that we have asked for a report to every committee meeting on the risk registry and possible mitigation. So the third motion is direct the Canada Games Aquatic Center Enhancement Project team to deliver an updated risk registry at each upcoming Regional Facilities Committee meeting for the remainder of the project.
Moved by Nancy, second by Libby. Question on this motion? All in favor?
Aye.
Contrary minded? Motion carried. Thank you. All right. Well, thank you. Thank you for the presentation. And
Mr. Chairman,
yes,
I will move that, that a letter be sent or contact by the CEO
Yeah.
or
We
yourself.
moved in closed, and it was a direction to his CEO, so it could stay.
So it's there
yeah.
for him to contact, Secretary Long.
I thought that was in the last closed session, but maybe I'm wrong.
It could be.
Did we send that?
I can't remember actually.
There's nothing in close related to Minister Long, to Wayne Long. So I think that if we wanted to send a letter, like we've met with Wayne Long, but we have not sent a letter. If that's what I understand is Director O'Hara's comment, that's certainly something that is available for us to do. And if the board would agree to that, we can submit that letter right away.
So the letter would be positioned that further to the discussion between the chair and the CEO with Secretary Long, we continually await your response to how much funding we are going to receive.
Right.
Enthusiasm is one thing, but it's never paid for anything.
No. Good point.
So you're making that motion?
Yeah. You making the motion, Libby?
Yes, just move that we do a bi-monthly letter to the Secretary Long.
Okay.
Moved by Libby, second by Nancy. Question on the motion? All in favor?
Aye.
Contrary minded? Motion carried. Thank you for that. It's a good point. All right, we're moving on. Phil, the 2025 work plan.
All right.
Sorry.
Thank you. I have a lot of enthusiasm for this, so apologies if it comes across a little wonky through virtual participation, but you would see my feet tapping and my hands clapping if you saw me in person, but we'll see how it translates through virtual. A big part of our role as an organization is to establish annual work plans that really deliver on the regional strategy that are both adopted by the board. And that's really one of our primary KPIs on us delivering what it is this board, this region wants of us. I'm pleased to share with you today the outcome of the 2025 work plan, where things landed at the end of the year, and also equip you most notably with an ability to share with your own constituents what that means. And I believe this is supposed to happen. I don't know how it's going to happen with all of you. It's going to be a little different for Brittany because she's and John, who are on virtual. We'll send it to you virtually. But we've created a highlights document, and it's a one-page document which basically provides a very condensed, concise Coles notes of this. And this is something that is coming out in a lot of conversations with board members and with CAOs is help us, equip us to tell the good news about the FRSC. Don't over gloat, don't over celebrate, but equip us effectively. And, we have a lot of tools to do this. We have the service-based budget, we have the annual report, but, it needs to be more condensed, more tight. And today is part of that. I do want to take a little bit of time to explain to you where we think those connections are, answer any questions that you might have, but also equip you with this one pager, which is also shareable with your own communities as well. So I don't know if they've been circulated, Cassie, if that one pager is they have?
Yes, yeah.
Okay. Perhaps somebody in the room could send it to Director McKenzie and Director Merrifield as well, as they're virtual, and they can kind of take a look at it while I do this presentation. So what's the news? The news is that we've accomplished 88%. We've completed 88% of the projects that were identified in our 2025 work plan. This is good news. This is exciting news and a testament to the hard work that was done across the organization. For context, we achieved 77% completion in 2024. And we have 5 active projects, which accounts for about 12% that are rolling into 2026. And most of those projects, outside of a few, are very close to completion. So you'll see likely the majority of those completed in the very near future. Today is not meant to be like a full annual report discussion. That will happen later on in the year around Q2. So what I wanted to do is just go through what I believe are the big, what we believe are the big takeaways, share them with you, the language that we're using, and also recognize that what we're trying to do is that we're trying to link the success of this not to FRSC. We're trying to link the success to you as the investor, as the member. And it's not just a celebration of FRSC. This should be a celebration for your own local communities, because what we do should be on paper and by design on how we develop these work plans and pursue them should be for the benefit of each of you and each of your communities. So let's start with regional transportation. The FRC right now is actively developing and mapping out the design of a regional transit system for the Fundy region, which is intended to deliver a multi-year pilot project with new transit offerings to residents to improve mobility, improve housing accessibility, labor participation, deliver more livable communities, and improve each community's and region's value proposition. This project is seeking significant upfront investment from federal and provincial governments to allow for the initial pilot program. So we launched that last year. We initiated the scope of it, and we are pursuing it. It will continue to be something that it falls into 2026, but we accomplished the first phase of it in 2025. It's very exciting. It's still early days, but this once implemented, if we approve everything and we get the funding that we want, this is truly a transformational project for each of your communities and the residents, change their mobility patterns, how they get to work, maybe what jobs they take, what housing options they take. It is a truly transformational regional project, and we're very excited to be part of it with you. The other one is the Canada Games Aquatic Center. We've just heard about it. We came together in 2025 through the leadership of Envision St. John and agreed to co-host the 2029 Canada Games with the City of Moncton. A generational opportunity, something that will remain in the minds of people from our region for years to come, those who visited and those who live, and will bring new investment and enthusiasm to the region's sport, recreation, and cultural landscape. We just heard about the Canada Games Aquatic Center. And for us, I think one of the big pieces of this, we've just talked about the technical, but the macro is there's been a reaffirmation that the only 50-meter pool in New Brunswick is in St. John. And other communities may be interested, might have a value proposition to pursue it, but at least from the region's perspective and the province's perspective, the 50-meter pool that counts in this region, in this province, is with our region. And I think that's important that we're participating in that discussion and we're reviewing the options of reinvesting into that Canada Games. And that's a massive project for us as a region, $25 million or $27 million project. It's a significant project and it's not something to take lightly. The community development needs assessment last year, an action plan. This is the first of its kind that we did. Ultimately, the way that I think we explain this and what is important to say is we needed to do this before we do anything with the community development portfolio. We needed to know how we could bring value in this without duplication, without overextending. And we got a really great committed team at the Community Development Committee and staff to support this. And now we have a roadmap on how and where we should seek to be involved in this mandate. Part of that mandate, another action is the Homelessness Response Toolkit. And this was developed in response to the needs assessment. It was identified through that process. So we were quickly able to pivot into that and to offer some development and insight into that toolkit. This toolkit has been rolled out to many FRSC members, whether it's through staff training, presentations to committees, to councils, supporting more on the grassroots level with some of the partners at your local community. And this is a great example of how the FRSC can bring value to its members and community partners without duplicating existing work or participating in something that is too costly in the delivery of what is a very large, expansive mandate. The other one that came up was the introduction of the physical activity roundtable. And this is interesting because this is not something that was on our work plan. And when we received the pitch from the province to pursue this, we wanted to make sure that we do this right. We did not rush into this. We asked the CAOs, we asked the board to say, is this something we want? Is this something of value? We went even further and talked to the recreational staff of each local government to say, does this value to you? Is this something that's important? And it came back that it was. And they wanted this, and there is excitement around this. This new forum is pursuing projects to further the impact of local recreation efforts by working together as a region. So this is really, an economy of scale. It's not to replace what's being done locally. It is to expand it and to further access funding and to find ways of improving what's happening at the local level. So this is a great news story. We really look forward to what will happen with this in 2026. Other one, and as we go into landfill operations, is odor monitoring. This was a massive piece of information we collected through the height augmentation consultations and the EIA approach. Very thoughtful feedback provided by residents. And this was something that we developed, rolled out in 2025, and something that gives us this new technology to help Crane Mountain as a landfill more effectively investigate and achieve resolution on important community impacts derived from the landfill. So this is something we're very excited to have and something that happened as part of our work plan. If we keep going, one thing that happened, this might be the most technical one, so I think it is impressive, is that we did respond to what could have been a very dangerous scenario for our region with the surge pond. We had to find a relocation because of the impact of our inability to bring wastewater, to bring our leachate to the wastewater treatment plants. So we were able to pivot quite quickly on that. We saw the risk and we reacted to it, and we were able to find a temporary solution. A permanent solution is being pursued this year, but it just showed that, we are capable, we are adaptive to scenarios that come up that are unforeseen, that we could not have foreseen. And in this case, our biggest saving grace was not just our proactive effort, but it turned out that there was very little rain in the period that we would have been at the highest risk. So this worked out quite well and prevented what would have been a larger risk for us in the region. So we thank the staff for doing that. We also adopted a regional solid waste strategy to 2040, which is again a really a longer term output of where we're heading as a solid waste service for the region. And also introduced a new community engagement committee. And this really ensures that the community is involved in some of these key decisions that happen in our landfill operations into the future. So this is a new added benefit to our region, and we look forward to it. Another big piece that we did, again, maybe more structural, but still very relevant, is that we updated our regional strategy a year earlier than originally expected. And this was in response to feedback from members, and we were able to successfully update it and approve a work plan in advance of the budget because of it. This makes sure that what we're doing and the vision that we're taking as an organization is aligned with the interests of our members. I have just a couple more, and then we'll wrap up from there. The regional facilities capital, I think what's really important there is that the work of the committee continues, and that is a success story. The committee's ability to review more effectively the operating and now capital costs being submitted, reviewing those, providing their due diligence, ensuring that those applications that are submitted are reviewed, that there's pushback on things that we don't understand, and that work is done before it comes to the board. In addition to that, there's been tremendous work last year done on a longer term resolution towards regional facilities. This was a year that the board really took a stand on saying, let's try to find a more sustainable solution. And it came to head, of course, during the budget period. But we found a step that we feel comfortable moving forward, that we're hoping this year that we have a resolution that's sustainable. And that's a big part of the work that we did last year. Something that is, I think everyone knows, is that we're quite unique as RSC, that no other RSCs have this mandate as we do. And we believe that the province should become involved in helping us resolve this, which they've committed to helping us. The last big one I wanted to share is around the rail working group. And this is another pivot that we took related to feedback from members. And we completed a study very quickly. We submitted that study to we're submitting it to the province, but it's informed basically an important piece of advocacy that now is being shared provincially and expanding the voice of our region across the province, and hopefully improving. At the end of the day, the objective is to improve the impact of short line railways on our local governments, who don't feel like they have an adjudicating capacity on disputes that happen on those rail lines, unlike the federal lines. So this is an important piece of work that we can proudly say we help charge, and we will use our partners to further expand that advocacy across the entire province. I did want to just mention a couple things, which when we talk about a work plan, it's projects. There's a start date and there's an end date, and that's why we can say they were completed. But in an organization, there's a lot more that happens than just projects. And for me, what's important to share with you is that we have upheld our reputation during the past year for customer service excellence through our work at Cream Mountain Landfill, our community planning and building inspection. This is a massive part of our operations, and we're very proud of the work they do and the level of professionalism provided there. We've also continued the impact of our outreach and education through our solid waste services. You're going to hear a lot more about that in our annual report, but that is operational. We do that, and we're very proud of the outreach that happens through that. We also have the operational responsibility of urban rural rides, which continues to increase and provides residents across the Fund region, an increasing number of residents across the region, access to that service through the volunteers that we coordinate. So it's all to say that I think there's a lot to celebrate in 2025. I hope this presentation and this one pager equips our board members to spread that word, to share it. You are certainly massive ambassadors to your own communities. You're also ambassadors to the region as being part of the board, and sharing these accomplishments are part of establishing that narrative across the region of what's going well, and then celebrating that when we have done something well. So I think it's really important. I would be remiss not to share how proud I personally am of the staff team and the committees who have supported this. The implementation, it's a tremendous lift, and we're very lucky to have the team that we have to be able to accomplish this much work and to establish the culture of bringing information in, collecting information, and building strategies and actions that are tied to the needs of our members. So with that, that is the presentation. It is a receive and file. Happy to respond to any other questions. Thanks for listening to me.
Thanks, Phil.
We should be receiving file. Second.
Moved by Jim, second by Libby. Question on the motion? All in favor? Contrary minded? Carried. Thank you, Phil. All right, let's move on to imaging capturing enforcement business. Case report from Scott. Let's see.
Morning, board. Thanks for having me today. This report is attached to the agenda package, but we thought it might be nice just to give a quick sort of overview of where this is coming from, and just an opportunity to answer questions if you have them. So essentially, the province of New Brunswick amended legislation to allow for the use of image capturing enforcement. So really, that's about red light cameras. It's about speed cameras. So they are tools available for municipalities to try and promote a more safe use of their streets. So while the legislation has allowed for this since October 2024, it has yet to be implemented by a municipality in New Brunswick, and for that reason, our transportation committee was interested in learning more about this new technology and how we could use it in our region to help reduce speeding and red light running. So the goal of this was to conduct a high-level overview of the potential for this in our region. So again, great report. I think it does a good job summarizing this technology and how it could be implemented in our New Brunswick context. I think, if you read, I don't think you have to read between the lines, but I think it kind of makes it clear that this is expensive. And one of the things in the New Brunswick context that makes it a challenge is the revenue generated to support the upfront operational cost does return to the province of New Brunswick and just goes into their provincial general revenue fund. So this is different than what other provinces do. And so that's part of why we wanted to do this study to kind of understand, what the breakdown is. So really we did know this going into the study, of course, but we did want to understand what the cost would be to see if it's kind of worth investigating, right? So we've shared this report with our public safety committee earlier this week, just because there's some overlap here with policing and road safety and all that. So we thought it would be important to share with those folks. It's been through the consultants. They came to our regional transportation committee, presented, and I think everybody, found it pretty valuable. And so really just bringing it to the board now so we can start to share this more widely through the CAOs, and so we can eventually get it to the transportation professionals, the public works folks within your local governments. Because really, this is, it would be implemented sort of through the road authority rights, which is at the local government level. And so, excited we did this work. I think it's a good example. If we didn't do it regionally, maybe there'd be 7 different entities kind of doing this, and then, you know, it ups the cost by 7 times. So I think it was valuable to figure this out. Again, just kind of bringing it to the board to kind of kick off the next step process. We will be discussing it at a regional transportation committee meeting next week. And so some potential ideas are, should we be advocating to the province on the revenue sharing piece? I have a feeling maybe yes. And also maybe there's some interest from the province and sort of doing a pilot with us where revenue would be shared. So anyway, just wanted to give this update and share that we'll be kind of distributing this more widely, and again, opportunities for questions.
Yes. Thank you for
I
that.
can tell you the photo radar was really good.
Yeah.
Through it, no,
Yeah,
I got a picture in the mail.
yeah, yeah, I know. And you can't.
I'm putting these in all over streetlights in St. Martin's.
Street lights.
Yeah, if you could indulge me too, I lived in Ontario for a while and I took the same route to work every day. And when I first moved in, I didn't realize there was photo radar at a pedestrian crossing in the school zone.
Yeah.
So my first month, I probably had 10 bills in the mail.
Yeah.
Just that, you know, and I was speeding a little bit, but you know, the zones are like 30 kilometers an hour, so it's very easy to speed.
School zones.
Yeah. So I very quickly learned and I totally changed my
Yeah,
habits.
oh, yeah. Get
So,
your attention really quick, yeah.
so they do work, and certainly in Ontario, there's some pushback, but I think when you talk to the folks implementing it, they do see it as a good tool.
Libby?
Director Grant and I share police services in the valley, and there have been investigations, I guess, looking into cameras and so on. So I think I spoke to this not this particular item, but rather some of the things, I guess, that that we may do with the FRC, if maybe whoever's in the lead of that, if for instance, if it's with the policing thing, to call the police and say, this is something that has crossed your desk at any point in time. Because some of that would be information that would be valuable to our region, as opposed to somebody coming in and doing a study for the region. So that would be one thing. The other thing is that I think it's in Ontario, Scott, you might know better than I, but where there's continually a camera put up and continually that camera comes down. Like the residents have taken exception to some of these things.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
it's a very expensive endeavor. Not to say that it's not a good one, but if they're going to be destroyed, you know, that's something that has to be factored in as to the longevity or the legacy of having these things, and exactly where they would be in communities.
So the residents are destroying it because of privacy?
They don't want to be caught speeding. They don't like getting those pictures in the mail.
No, you got nothing to say about it. Once the picture's there, you just go, well, at least I gotta pay. What are you gonna do? Yeah, but great point. Let me know. That's good. Gonna go regional public service.
Well, I think it's just wise for any of the endeavors that we are pursuing to, if it's policing, if it's firefighting, if it's EMO, check with each of the regional directors, or at least with their communities, and find out, has there been a study done on transportation, for example, or on policing, or whatever the key issue might be. I think that's, that really gels that we are working together, and that we're not going to spend in areas that maybe we could reduce the costs of the study.
Absolutely. Point. Brittany?
Thanks. Yeah, so UMNB has done some advocacy work in this space already regarding the sharing of the revenues from potential red light cameras and speed cameras across the province. They have indicated that there's no appetite there to share that revenue, although they did say that there might be opportunity for municipalities to access funding for the capital costs to install the equipment, so the initial equipment install. But future maintenance would be the responsibility of the municipality, and they're not interested in sharing that. That doesn't mean that we're going to take no for an answer. We'll continue to advocate for that sharing of the revenue. The Ontario situation is unique. So the premier of Ontario basically had a problem with the red light cameras. So they instituted legislation to basically make them illegal, and he had every municipality take them down. The municipalities were very, very against this. They found that they were working really well. It's not like they were being put everywhere. They were typically being put in school zones and places of that nature where there was already identified issues with speeding. But still, it didn't work well there. I don't see that kind of political risk here in New Brunswick, particularly where they just instituted relatively recently that legislation. But it is something that has happened. The premier the premier of Ontario said, "Well, we'll give you guys $241 million to put speed bumps in instead." So, and of course, it's an issue there, and in Ontario, too. They were allowed to keep the revenue. But the revenue went towards public safety. So there was a tracking of the revenue, just didn't go into general rev. So anyway, just some interesting points there, but yeah, definitely continue to advocate to the provincial government to share that revenue, but just wanted to make people aware of the potential for capital cost coverage there.
Great. Thank you. John.
Thanks, Rob. Yeah, I think that this is a great story for the public, that we have the ability to do it, but we cannot do it because of the cost, and the province wants the money. But they said, and you guys might get a grant to put them in, but you're going to have to upkeep it so that our revenue keeps coming in. So, I really I get a kick out of that stuff because the only province in Canada that treats municipalities the way they do. And I think that, a CBC story on this would go a long way because nobody wants speed bumps, by the way. We've installed all kinds of speed bumps and at the request of the public. And then the other side is, geez, what are you doing putting all those speed bumps in? So the camera's a much better idea in terms of getting the people that need to be, targeted and leaving the rest of the people alone. But yeah, I think maybe we should even write a letter of support, that the province, put these in and that they have revenue sharing, I mean, if it's 50-50 maybe, but not like 70-30 because it costs money, to run them. So, but anyway, my 2 cents worth, folks.
Very good, John. Thank you. Any more comments or questions on this presentation? All right. Thank you, Scott. Great. Yeah. We need to receive and file motion presentation. Motion from Jim, second by Nancy. All in favor? Contrary minded? Carried. Thank you. Thank you, Scott. Okay, standing items. The Vision St. John. You've been waiting a long while, Andrew.
Always a pleasure.
Worth waiting for?
Always.
Okay.
Good morning, everybody. I thought this morning I just wanted to speak to a couple of items and then just to highlight that in terms of sort of more detailed overview of what we've been up to over the past year. I think everybody should have a placeholder in their calendars for March 25th at 8 o'clock in the morning, I think it is, that we're doing our year-end review. That'll be a public session that we'll spend some time talking about the work of the agency over the past year. And also we've got the economists coming in from the Atlantic Economic Council to do a state of the region's economy at the same time. So I think as a result, it'll draw in a good cross section of people that will be interested in seeing some of that information. So again, I hope you've got that in your calendars. If not, I'll make sure that it's sent out to all the mayors and councils will be invited to that session. Couple of things that I did want to highlight today. You've had the discussions on Canada Games Aquatic Center. So you looked at some of the cost side of things, but I did want to start waving the flag for the Canada Games themselves. 2029 seems like a long way away, but each day that passes, it's getting a lot shorter. I think I mentioned last time I was here that the host society is now in place and operating. They're in the process of hiring CEO for the games. Expect that process to be complete I would say expect by mid-March that the CEO will be in place, and that
Thank you.
the first step in terms of getting the staffing part of the operations going, and then we'll start to raise the profile of the games generally. The other one that you might want to just mark down as a date, February 10th, will be the announcement from Canada Games Council of the sports that will be part of the 2029 games. There's been a couple of changes, actually a couple of additions to sports that will be part of that announcement. I think the total now is there'll be 17 different sports that will be part of the games in 2029. So that formal announcement will be out on February the 10th. So again, another opportunity to start building some excitement across the region and across the province in terms of the types of events that are going to be held as part of 2029. The other piece that I wanted to just raise today is that the agency was given the opportunity Thursday. Some track of days. Tuesday, we were in Fredericton to present to the Atlantic Economic Panel that's been formed by the Atlantic Canada Opportunities Agency. And this was a panel that's been put together, chaired by Don Mills, to look at opportunities that are around the Atlantic region to really drive the economy going forward. And we were asked, we made a submission just after Christmas. And then we were asked to present to the panel on Tuesday, and I think in terms of their 2 days, there were only about 10 or 11 groups that were asked that were invited to make a submission or to make a presentation to the panel. So we had about an hour with the panel on Tuesday afternoon that I think was very good. They were very interested in hearing about the composition of the agency, the organization of itself with the range of responsibilities we've got in our governance structure, that they were quite interested in learning more about it. In terms of some of the things that we highlighted for the panel in terms of opportunities within the region that we thought were of scope, that they have a broader significance beyond the region. Port St. John obviously is one that we will continue to highlight in terms of the immediate employment that we're seeing, but also the opportunity for expansion in terms of things like an inland logistics hub that we expect. DP World just recently came out and said that they are looking at sites across the country. That's something that we're continuing to work on, trying to position this region as being part of that opportunity, and we'll see where that goes over the next little while. But there's certainly ongoing opportunities to take advantage of the amount of traffic that's coming through the port. We highlighted Spruce Lake Industrial Park because of the significance of the potential investment, and we've had some work done on the economic impact of that park once it's fully built out. Looking in the order of about 2,500 direct jobs that could come from businesses that would locate in the park. And then when you count direct and indirect and induced jobs that go along with the park, it's in the order of about 4,500 to 5,000 jobs, which would be a massive influx of employment for the region over the next 5 to 7 years that we see an opportunity. Quite an animated discussion, I would say, back and forth with the panel around data centers. That's a continuing discussion on a number of different fronts. In terms of there being a mixed bag of reaction as to whether they're good, bad, or indifferent. It's interesting that the federal government has just come out and they're actually promoting private sector investment in data centers in the country. So the federal government see it as a priority. The concern locally is around power, which is the third area that we highlighted for the panel, is that in terms of our investment attraction opportunities, the biggest impediment that we've got at this point in time is availability of power. If we had more electrons to sell, we could get more businesses here. And NB Power, unfortunately, with the current challenges, are not in a growth mindset, they're in a maintenance mindset. And so we're hoping that we pushed that maybe some Atlantic Canada cooperation in terms of the area of power is needed to improve transmission and distribution, to make better availability of power that's being generated within the region. And our hope is that there's going to be an increased generation capacity within the province too. We did highlight what we see as an opportunity in this is to allow some of our major businesses to produce their own power. JDI, for one, has advocated for that. And we think that seems like a really good idea, because if JDI could come off the grid, that would produce more capacity within the grid to take on some of the growth that we're looking at. So power was an area that we spent quite a bit of time with the panel talking about. A few of the other areas that we touched on, labor mobility restrictions and varying standards across the Atlantic provinces, that a unified approach to labor would be beneficial in terms of meeting some of our workforce requirements. Immigration, and the push for an Atlantic Canada carve-out on immigration to increase the immigration targets that are available. I think they were the main things that we got into. We had also mentioned the insufficient regional transportation links, particularly of concern would be the airport. And the fact that the connectivity for the airport is not at the level that it needs to be. And I think that was certainly something that we shared, that they've heard from other areas, from the panel's discussions as well. So it was a good opportunity, I think, for the region to at least be heard at that type of forum. Their report is supposed to be submitted, I think, towards the end of the summer. I'm not sure what traction it will get at the end of it all, but at least we had an opportunity to put forward some of the views from the region's standpoint. Finally, the other one that we're continuing to do work on right now is advocacy with the airport. We hired CC Goodwin Associates to help the airport put together some materials to improve the distribution of communication to local businesses and local residents about what's going on with the airport, the importance of using the airport. Expect that you'll start to see some of that material coming out in the next 3 or 4 weeks. We're also cost sharing on a leakage study with the airport. The leakage study is basically doing an analysis of all the airports that are within New Brunswick and in the surrounding areas, going into Halifax, Charlottetown, also into the US airports, to see how many people from the St. John area are using other airports. And so what's the opportunity to hopefully recapture some of that business with improved air service. So we expect that report to be out in the next couple of weeks, which will form the basis for some ongoing discussions with Air Canada and others to try and push for some different air service options within the region. Aside from that, January's been a very busy month. Investment attraction activity is very, very busy. We've been working on a number of different active files, had some very positive feedback from a lift and shift opportunity. That's a lift and shift is when an organization is looking at moving their entire workforce from one jurisdiction to another. We had one, they did a site visit back in November, that we're hearing now that we are number one on their list to pursue further. And that's the opportunity for about 200 to 300 jobs that could be coming here, with a potential for it to be much bigger going forward. So some really positive signs in terms of our investment attraction work that we're encouraged by. And things like our entrepreneurship support, we see a steady stream of existing or new entrepreneurs coming in looking for guidance in terms of navigation support. And so that area is busy. Tourism, the tourism numbers will be out the end of March. It looks like last year was a very good year in terms of visitation numbers. So we're really pleased with that. And we're now in the process of doing the design for our campaigns in 2026. And leveraging the new money that we got as part of our budget in 2025. We're part of a very extensive campaign that's going to be going into the Eastern United States, through Expedia, that we're partnering with the province and the Destination Canada, that we're hoping will help drive even more traffic that's coming here, coming from the Eastern United States as well. So all areas of the operation are very busy. It's an interesting time, and we're hoping that we can actually close some of the deals that we're working on in terms of some of the investment attractiveness.
Thank you for that, Andrew. Any? Libby, first.
Thank you, Andrew. You know, that's all very exciting news, really, quite amazing, actually. You mentioned in trying to bolster or get more traction with immigration, because some of these things that we're looking at, you know, 2,500 to 5,000 employees.
We don't have the employees to do that right now, but we don't.
Nor do we have the workforce to build the facilities. And, you know, when we look at power, we do send power down to the United States. So is that a consideration, or is the construction of the building going to be with solar panels or windmills or something so that they can power their own energy? I don't know, but
No,
I don't want to lose anything because of our shortage of the people, you know, human resources.
Well, then that's why we pushed two sides with the panel when we were talking to them on Tuesday, both on the power side and the immigration side, because, you know, one approach would be, well, we don't have enough power, so let's stop trying to attract the new businesses. Or we don't have enough people, so let's stop. Is that what we want to do? Like, none of us want to do that. So we're going to keep pushing, and we think others should keep pushing, and I think the solutions are there. There's a bit more creativity needed in terms of how some of the players come together on it. The workforce side of things, look, immigration is a key for us. We're still a region where deaths outpace births, but that's coming. Like, I mean, our housing shortages are a challenge, but not as bad as what you see in some of the Ontario markets and some other places. I mean, our housing starts last year were up significantly. The Atlantic provinces were some of the highest increase in housing starts across the country. So we are seeing some positive signs in terms of the new stock that's coming in place. It'll always be a challenge to sort of try and keep up, but I think we've done a reasonable job on that. I think the municipalities have really shown a good effort to try and improve the turnaround time in terms of approvals and get some projects going. We're starting to see that. We've got a number of projects that have started now that will be coming online in 2026 and 2027. So look, I think we've caused for at least a little bit of optimism in terms of the housing side of things.
Can I just make one more comment? You're talking about advocacy for the St. John Airport.
Yep.
And with the cutbacks that we've experienced over the past little while, one of my biggest concerns is that I'm flying in from somewhere and I get to Toronto or I get to Montreal and I can't get any further until the next day. I would rather pay the $200 or $300 that I've got to pay for a hotel on a flight and get home that night. And I don't know if there's anything that can be done about that, or if Air Canada or some carrier will look at that, but I'd rather not have to go through getting an Uber, going to a hotel.
Yeah.
It just makes traveling so cumbersome, but I always use St. John Airport. So there.
Good for you. Well, that's exactly the type of thing that is being looked at and discussed with the airport. It is making those connections as viable as possible to get people to their destination in the easiest manner.
Getting out. I don't like getting out.
But it's been coming back. Yeah.
Nancy.
So Andrew, it's, I think we're beginning to see progress. It was absolutely wonderful in the news yesterday to see Craig Estabrooks with the finger behind.
Yeah, no, exactly.
Behind
Fantastic.
Premier Ford. That was awesome. But speaking of the news and your reference to tourism, so if you watch the nightly news, you often see ads from Edmonton's a big one, right? New Brunswick as a whole, not so much PEI, Cape Breton. I don't see advertisements from this region. I don't know, is there anything that's on the?
Well, that's, part of that is the way that the media is able to target where they place the ads. And so you won't see ads for St. John in St. John, just as you wouldn't see ads for Edmundston in Edmundston. They do segment, even though you're seeing the same broadcast that would be in those different areas, there's different ads placed on. And so that's why a lot of times you won't see a lot of our ads because our target market is outside of the region.
And they'll show them elsewhere.
Yeah, yeah.
Good, thank you.
I mean, we had, I got the numbers the other day, just to give you a sense, in terms of the materials we put out. We did our spring and summer destination campaign. We got the numbers back, and this was targeting Maritimes, Ontario, Montreal. We had 30 million impressions of people going through those. Our partnership with Explore NB, targeting New England, generated 36.5 million impressions in terms of those markets. So the campaigns that we've got are working. We do one within the Maritimes as well, promoting fall and holiday campaigns. That got 6.6 million impressions. I mean, the ads that we put out there are getting reasonable exposure.
So question answered. Thank you.
No, it's very good.
Thank you. John?
Thank you, Rob. First of all, Andrew, thank you very much for the update. I really enjoy you coming in and giving us these uplifting remarks, because sometimes, all you hear is negative. This is great stuff. The power thing. This is where St. John really does have an advantage, because, the Birch Hill, the solar farm that's coming, we're such a huge geographic area. And as long as we have a third party in this geographic area, we can generate some power, at a reduced rate. And the province isn't supportive of that, and the NB Power obviously is not supportive of that. But at the end of the day, like you say, you want to grow power, you have to have power, and particularly for our industrial parks. So no, I'm 100% in favor of, supporting any kind of power generation project that comes up, whether it be wind, solar, or water. And I hope that, as a region, that we can push to make those things happen. Unfortunately, I've got another meeting that I have to jump onto for 12 o'clock. So I'm going to head out now and take a bio break. But thanks very much, folks. And we'll see you next month.
Yeah, well, bye, John. Brittany, you have something?
Thanks. Hi, Andrew. Just again, to echo John's statements, that was such a positive report. It's really nice to hear numbers like that. Some of them were eye-watering, but in a really good way. So thanks for your work there. My actual question has to do with the energy piece. And if you have any insight on where the province is with respect to an energy strategy, have they been working on we need one, clearly. Do you have any insight on if they've started work on one, who's the owner of it, and what we're looking at with that for the next couple of years?
Good question. Again, I think it was Tuesday this week, I received an embargoed draft of the province's economic development strategy, which I think will be the focal point or focus of the Premier's comments tonight in Fredericton for the state of the province. I think she's going to be highlighting some things out of that economic development strategy. One of the points in there is she does talk about an energy plan. I think the work is from other discussions that we've had with her and with others. I think the province is well down the path of that energy plan. Part of what they're waiting for will be this independent review that was being done of NB Power and what comes out of it, and rolling it into it. But the fact that it's, I guess, when I looked at the economic development plan, there was a number of other plans that are referenced in this document that I already know those plans are either nearing completion or are ready to be launched. So my suspicion is the fact that the energy plan is referenced in this document tells me that a significant amount of work is ongoing. In a discussion we had with the Premier I forget what it was back in December, she did talk about, things like nuclear, the fact that they were pursuing a second reactor for Point Lepreau, which I think would be positive, both from the power generation and also from an economic, development standpoint in terms of the supply chain opportunities that would go along with that for this region, and a few other pieces. So I think energy, the province is well aware of how significant a shortfall it is for us. And I think there are some good discussions. So I'm hoping we see that plan, in a matter of months, not years.
Thanks, Andrew.
Any more comments or questions, Andrew? I will say that I know Mr. Harrow was on the radio about the business doing, companies doing their own energy. I think that's a great idea. If they're open to do that, why?
And look, it's not something that they say they're looking for something for free. There's companies that are willing to invest significant amounts of money to generate their own. At least some of the constraint on the grid, from my standpoint, it seems to make sense, but I don't profess to understand all the mechanics associated with the power generation side, but we have to do something. So
Absolutely.
the opportunities are there.
Yep, absolutely. All right, that's great. Thank you, Andrew.
Thanks, everybody.
Can I entertain a motion to?
Receive and file.
It's a verbal update. I don't think we need a
Don't need
review.
it? Okay, very good.
Okay, next. The agenda.
Committee agendas, you all have them in your package. Just want
Just a receipt.
to receive and file, please. Moved by Nancy, second by Libby. All in favor?
Aye.
Contrary minded? Carried. Okay, so
Next item is moved from close. Would you like me to read it?
yes, please.
That the board approves the nominations of Marianne Lingiel, Rick Adams, Jen Brown, Andrea Foster, Kay Kenyon Dula, Catherine Melvin, Nicholas Bedore, Paula Fred, and, that's it, to FRSC's Fiscal Activity Partners table for, as of January 29th, 2026 until January 29th, 2028.
Moved by Libby, second by Nancy. Question on the motion? All in favor? Contrary minded? Carried. Thank you. Okay, no real new business, is there? So motion to adjourn. Moved by Libby, second by Nancy. Thank you all. Have a great day.